field is the mainly we can say is as a 3+. If one sample is positive or at least one AFP is seen in any one of these samples, the sputum sample is positive, and the patient is now previously used to say is as a sputum positive TB, but now the term known as a bacteriologically confirmed pulmonary tuberculosis. Okay, so you have to write that for the diagnosis. So it's a bacteriologically confirmed pulmonary tuberculosis. So that's the sputum microscopy, and then the another is GeneXpert, MTB, and rifampicin resistant test. So this the report will be like this. So T means if the T comes, the MTB is detected and rifampicin is not detected. While RR is means MTB is detected and rifampicin resistant is detected, and TI means microbial tuberculosis detected, whereas the rifampicin resistant is intermediate. So in that case, you are going to repeat the test, and N means MTB not detected, and I means invalid or no result and error. So in that case, you have to repeat the test for the GeneXpert. So this is for the expert MTB test. The another modalities that you can do is the chest X-ray. So chest X-ray only is mainly a suggestive thing, but a confirmatory is that you have to see the bacteria itself to confirm the diagnosis. So the radiological pattern, it can be a classical pattern, like there is a more predilection of the patient to develop the upper lobe infiltrates in case of tuberculosis, and there can be a bilateral infiltrates, and cavitation can be there. There can be of pulmonary fibrosis and the syncrease, and the atypical pattern like interstitial infiltrates, especially in the lower zones. This is mainly seen in the patient who are immunocompromised, like diabetics and all these things. So interstitial infiltrates, and then the no cavitation and the no abnormalities is a very atypical pattern. The classical pattern, always there is a high chance of involvement on the upper lobe because of the more aeration and more oxygenation in the upper lobe. So the bacteria wants to reside there. So that's why there is an upper lobe predilection in the case of tuberculosis. And then the bilateral infiltrates and the cavitation and the pulmonary fibrosis and the shrinkage can be also be seen. So this is the chest X-ray finding in tuberculosis, which is given in your division. This is the pictorial picture. So you can see the consolidation. So consolidation, the pneumonia. So the another can be a diagnosis of other bacterial pneumonias. So it can be a bacterial bronchial carcinoma, or it can be a pulmonary infarct giving a waist opacity. Okay, so this might be a possibility, and there can be a collapse also. While as in the cavitation, so cavity can be there. So, but the differential diagnosis of cavity, there can be also in the case of pneumonia, in the case of lung abscess. In the lung abscess, you can see the fluid level, and the lung cancer and pulmonary infarct. Also, you can go into cavitation, and the another one is a venous granulomatosis. So this is the vasculitis, and then the progressive massive fibrosis around the airways, leading to the fixtures like a cavitation. Whereas you can also see the miliary mottlings, diffuse shadowing in the case of miliary tuberculosis, like millet-like cysts. The other differential diagnosis of miliary mottling can be seen in sarcoidosis, it can be seen in malignancy, it can be seen in pneumoconiosis, and the infections like histoplasmosis infection. And the pleural effusion, you can also have a pleural effusion. It can be a empyema. So the other cause of pleural effusion, there is a long list of the pleural effusion causes, like bacterial pneumonia, pulmonary infarction, carcinoma, chronic tissue disorder, and other as on. Okay, so these are the findings you can find in the chest X-ray findings if you are going to suspect the patient with tuberculosis. The patient can present with consolidation, it can be a miliary mottling, can be cavitation, can be pleural effusion. So most of the patient, lot of the patient, we are getting the cases of pleural effusion. So this is the chest X-ray where you can see the mainly upper lobe and middle lobe infiltrates is there. So there is signs formation of cavitation also in some places. Okay, so these are the pictures that you can see in the chest X-ray of tuberculosis. So what are the chronic complications of the pulmonary tuberculosis? The pulmonary complication can be, patient can present with a massive hemoptysis because of the rupture of the bronchial veins. There can be a fibrosis of the lungs leading into enlargement of right atrium and right ventricle leading into cor pulmonale. And then there can be a fibrosis, there can be a persistent emphysema can be there. A typical mycobacterial infection can be be also going to take place in the healed tuberculosis. Okay, so in the form of Mycobacterium avium complex, MAC. And then in the cavity, there can be a formation of the aspergilloma, so that is known as a fungal ball. Okay, so in the cavity, the aspergillus ball can be there, fungal ball, and the patient can have a prolonged or pleural calcification as a healing process. Patient can present with the obstructive airway disease, so there can be a bronchiectasis and the destruction of the bronchial walls leading to bronchiectasis. So one of the common cause of the bronchiectasis in our scenario is post-TB bronchiectasis, and there can be a formation of bronchopleural fistula. The another non-pulmonary are the patient can have a pleural effusion that can be infected, and that it can try to tends to come out from the chest wall, that is known as the empyema necessitans. And the another is a laryngitis. If the patient swallows the sputum, there can be chances of having enteritis. There can be an anorectal disease, and there can be a secondary amyloidosis, and there can be an involvement of reactive involvement of the disease that is known as a Ponson's polyarthritis. Okay, so that's a reactive arthritis of the joints that is known as a Ponson's polyarthritis. So these are the chronic complications of the pulmonary tuberculosis. Okay, so this is also a box which is given in your Davidson, so you should know about what are the chronic complications of the pulmonary tuberculosis. Then coming to the certain terms that always have to come in the treatment part. Okay, so what is bacteriologically confirmed TB case? Is one or from whom a specimen is positive by the smear microscopy, culture, or WHO recommended rapid diagnostic test, such as GeneXpert. All such cases should be notified, and regardless of whether TB treatment has started or not. Okay, so this is mainly important. So that is a bacteriologic confirmed TB test. We can say this as if the patient has a smear negative positive and also a GeneXpert positive, that is known as a bacteriologically confirmed TB case. So what is pulmonary TB case? So pulmonary TB is refers to any bacteriologically confirmed or clinically diagnosed case of TB involving the lung parenchyma or tracheobronchial tree comes to be a pulmonary tuberculosis. Miliary TB is classified as a pulmonary tuberculosis because these are the lesions in the lungs. So that's why the miliary TB also comes in the pulmonary tuberculosis. While as the external pulmonary TB, the tuberculosis intrathoracic, like lymph node also, either is mediastinal lymph node or it can be a hilar, or tuberculosis pleural effusion without radiographic abnormalities in the lungs constitute a extrapulmonary TB. A patient with both pulmonary and extrapulmonary TB can be classified as a case of pulmonary pulmonary tuberculosis. Okay, so this we can combine it as a pulmonary tuberculosis. Coming to the classification of TB according to the type of the patient. So new patients is the definition is the patients who have never been treated for a TB and have taken anti-TB drugs for less than 1 month. So if a patient even taken the anti-tuberculosis less than 1 month, then we can say is as a new TB new patient if the patient is a defaulter. Previously treated patient means patient who have received 1 month or more of the anti-TB drugs in the past, and they are further classified by the outcome of their most recent course of the treatment as follows. Okay, so this is known as a previously treated. So new patient and previously treated patient. Okay, so because this definition is important because of for the TB treatment. Okay, so we have to take the different regimen on that. So relapsed patient means patient who have previously been treated for tuberculosis were declared cured or treatment completed at the end of their most recent course of treatment, or now diagnosed with a recurrent episode of TB. Okay, so that's mainly a relapse. And what is treatment after failure patient? That is treatment failure patient are those who have previously been treated for tuberculosis and whose treatment failed at the end of their most recent course of the treatment. Okay, so this is mainly a treatment failure. And treatment after lose to follow-up means patient who have previously been treated for the TB and were declared lost to the follow-up at the end of their most recent course of the treatment is known as a lost to the follow-up, and these are the previously known as a treatment after default. Okay, so treatment after default patient. And other previously treated patient is the patients who are those have previously been treated for TB but whose outcome after their most recent course of the treatment is unknown, is the other previously treated patient. And patient with an unknown previous TB treatment history is the patient with an unknown previous TB who do not fit into any of the above category listed above. Okay, so this is the how you are going to define the different types of the patient of the for the classification of tuberculosis. Then another classification, we can also classify and the based on the drug resistance. So type of resistance, it can be a monoresistance, so resistance to one first line anti-TB drug only, and polyresistance means resistance to more than one first line anti-TB drug other than both isoniazid and rifampicin. While as the rifampicin resistant TB is a resistant to rifampicin detected using phenotypic or genotyping methods with or without resistance to other anti-TB drugs. It includes any resistance to the rifampicin, whether monoresistance, multi-drug resistance, or polydrug resistance. Okay, so this is the or extensive drug resistance, XDR. Okay, and then SRTB means refers to the microbiome tuberculosis, which is stress is resistant to the isoniazid. Okay, so isoniazid, and multi-drug resistance is the resistance to at least both isoniazid and rifampicin is known as a multi-drug resistance tuberculosis. And extensively, what is XDR-TB? So XDR-TB is resistant to any fluoroquinolones and to at least one of the three second-line injectable drugs, that is capramycin, kanamycin, and amikacin, and addition to multi-drug resistance is known as a XDR-TB. Okay, so these are the definition according to the classification based on the resistance of the TB. So you should know about what are the MDR, what is XDR. Okay, so that's the question. So what is the aims of the TB drug treatment? So aims of the anti-TB drug treatment is to cure the patient of the tuberculosis, to prevent the death from the active TB or its less side effects, to prevent the TB relapse, and to decrease the TB transmission to the others. So this is the mainly aims of the anti-TB drug treatment: to cure, to prevent the death, and to prevent the relapse, and to decrease the tuberculosis transmission. So what are the first line anti-TB drugs? So you have been know this from your pharmacological class. Okay, so it's mainly isoniazid, rifampicin, pyrazinamide, and ethambutol, and streptomycin. And you should know about the doses. Okay, so because according to the weight, you are going to prescribe the patient the medication. Okay, so if you are going to prescribe more dose, then the side effect will be more, and there will be a detrimental effect of these drugs. So these are the toxic drugs. Okay, so you should know about the dose. So isoniazid, you are going to is a 5 milligram per kg, rifampicin is 10 milligram per kg, pyrazinamide is 25, ethambutol is 15, and streptomycin is 15 milligram per kg. So this is the first line drugs which you are going to use for the any new TB patients. So what is the dose therapy? So dose therapy is mainly objective of NTP is to decrease the morbidity, mortality, and transmission of the tuberculosis, and to ensure avoiding the emergence of a drug resistance. So DOTS is the national strategy of NTB program, which recommends provision of short course chemotherapy with a direct observation of the treatment intake for all the patients, especially SMER positive TB cases. So now the NTB targets are 85% cure rate and 70% case detection rate among the infectious tuberculosis cases. Okay, so now they have added, once the patient has been positive, they will again do all the analysis of the sputum analysis of the household to detect more cases of the tuberculosis. So this has been added to the new DOTS therapy regimen. Now coming to this regimen, so this is the old regimen, that is category 1 and category 2, which used to previously. So now it has been changed, so it has been modified. So we are not going to follow this. So now we are going to follow with the new changes. So now the new changes on the diagnosis, as already I have told that only 2 sputum samples is required for the initial diagnosis of TB. Same day diagnosis of TB by microscopy, 2 samples same day, 1 hour apart. Only 1 sputum sample required for the follow-up examination. And even the new presumptive TB cases should be assessed to the gene expert. If the sputum is negative, then always you can go for the gene expert directly to look for whether you are going to detect in the gene expert or not. This is the rapid PCR test. So, and the another is treatment is not extended at the end of the intensive phase, even though, okay, so previously what we used to do, so after the second month, you will do the sputum analysis, and if it's still positive, then the extension of the phase is going to be happen, but it is not recommended now. Okay, so you have to go for the continuation phase regardless of whether the sputum is positive or not. Now, streptomycin containing category 2 regimen after retreatment cases will no longer be used in Nepal. So this is the another thing. Okay, so that's why the category 2 regimen is not is being used. So the new definitions they have added is TB suspects is changed to presumptive TB. Okay, so we have to presume that is a TB. So now the suspect change has been changed. Previously treated patient definition has been changed and are based on the outcome of their most recent course of the treatment, as already I have told in the categorization of the patient. The treatment regimen for the retreatment TB has been removed. All the previously treatment TB patient will receive new treatment regimen and will be screened for the drug-resistant TB. So recording and reporting forms have been edited to suit the new definitions and change in the treatment guidelines by the National Tuberculosis Program. So this is the diagnosis and treatment algorithm for the new case. So persons to be evaluated for the TB, adults and children with signs and symptoms suggestive of TB is that if the patient has a cough for 2 weeks or more, coughing sputum with or without blood, with a fever as evening rising low-grade fever with night sweats, loss of appetite and unintentional weight loss, household contact, symptomatic of bacteriologic confirmed TB case, chest X-ray suggestive of any lung failed abnormalities, as I told in the case chest X-ray, person being evaluated for the extrapulmonary TB. So priority for the diagnosis and rapid drug sensitivity test among new cases is people living with HIV/AIDS. So HIV and TB co-infection is very, and children symptomatic contacts of PBC bacterial confirmed and DR cases, and extrapulmonary samples like CSF, lymph node, and another tissue specimen, healthcare workers, people living in the enclosed space like slum, prison, okay, and dormitories, and the immunocompromised patients under long-term steroid therapy, cancer, diabetes. All priority cases and other presumptive cases who have access to the expert will receive expert MTB RIF testing as initial diagnostic test. Okay, so in this case, you have to go for the expert test, gene expert test, and testing one sample managed as I mentioned in the gene expert result. Okay, and if we are presuming TB cases, those who do not have access to expert TB RIF test collect 2 sputum samples, then 1 hour apart is smear negative, then highly suggestive of clinical or X-ray. Then again you can go for repeat testing, smear negative. Others consider the alternative diagnosis. And smear positive, one or both samples treat with first line regimen. Initiate expert MTB RIF test and manage the based on the result. Okay, so that's how you are going to follow the patient, follow up the patient. So interpretation of expert RIF results and the treatment initiation for new TB case is that if so as I told N, T, okay, and RR, TI, and I. Okay, so that is the report that you are going to get. So MTB not evaluate clinically the patient clinically and consider X-ray if not already done. Consider repeat expert test you can do. If MTB detected RIF sensitive, then treat with a first line regimen. If MTB detected a RIF resistance, then you can initiate the treatment with the second line. Okay, so I will come on the what are the drugs that you are going to use the second line in the next slide. And then as per National Tuberculosis Guidance for Drug Resistant TB, collect 2 sputum samples and send to the National Reference Laboratory for SLLPA, okay, second line probe assay, culture and drug sensitivity test, and adjust the regimen if required after result. If MTB is detected, RIF or intermediate, then start first line treatment and repeat the expert treatment. MTB detected rifampicin resistant, then use the second line. If it is sensitive, continue the first line. Okay, so this is the ideal the flow chart after the interpretation of the expert MTB. So then what are the diagnosis and treatment algorithm for the retreatment cases? So person to be evaluated for the TB, the another is a retreatment. Okay, so the cases are the and drug resistance. So these are the signs or symptoms suggestive of TB and or chest X-ray, signs and suggestive of extrapulmonary TB, strong clinical correlation of retreatment cases before going expert TB. So then again you do the expert TB. Okay, so expert TB, and if you are finding all this, the previous line you are going to use. And if it is T, initiate first line treatment. If LPA is not available, then you go for the 6 month of HRJD. You can go for 6 HRJD. If the LPA is available, send the sample for line probe assay. If line probe FAC is available, if INS sensitive, then continue first line treatment 2-HRJD and 4-HR. If INS is resistant, then you are going to use the 6-RJD and levofloxacin. Okay, so levofloxacin will be added. And H and fluoroquinolone resistance, then you can go for 6-RJD. Okay, so this is the thing that has been recommended. So this is the new regimen. You should know this. Okay, so these are the questions which I asked to you. So what is the new treatment guidelines for the treatment of tuberculosis? So this is the categories of the treatment and their anti-TB drug regimen. So if a type of TB, so now they have only classified into two. So new TB cases and the retreatment cases. So new TB cases is the adult and childhood bacteriology or clinically diagnosed. So pulmonary or extrapulmonary. So in intensive phase, you are using the 2 months of HRJD. Okay, so 4 drugs, and then the continuation phase, you are going to use the 4 months of isoniazid and rifampicin. So any TB case. Okay, so this is the new TB cases. So if the patient has a complicated severe extrapulmonary cases like CNS tuberculosis, TB pericarditis, musculoskeletal TB, or miliary TB, then you have to extend the regimen. So that is 2 HRJD and 7 to 10 months of 3 drugs, that is isoniazid, rifampicin, and ethambutol as the continuation phase. Okay, so these are for the complicated severe extrapulmonary cases. While as the retreatment cases, you are going to use the all forms first rapid. You are going to send the first rapid drug sensitivity with expert TB. RIF testings will be done to see the status of resistance to the rifampicin, and followed by the line probe assay among those having a MTB positive and rifampicin sensitive for isoniazid resistance. That you for isoniazid resistance, you are going to do the line probe assay. So for the expert MTB rifampicin sensitive and LPA isoniazid sensitive, you are going to use the 2 months of HRJD and 4 months of HR that you are going to use if the patient is the rifampicin sensitive and sensitive and the isoniazid sensitive. While as expert MTB rifampicin sensitive and LPA isoniazid resistance and fluoroquinolone sensitive, then you are going to use the 6-RJD plus levofloxacin full duration. Okay, so you are going to stop the isoniazid. And then the expert MTB rifampicin sensitive LPA isoniazid not known because of the no access to LPA. In that case, you are going to use the 6 months full duration of SRJD. So rifampicin sensitive and INS resistance and fluoroquinolone resistance, that you can use the 6-RJD. So this is the guideline for the any retreatment cases and the new TB cases. And for the drug resistance TB, so I'll come on the coming slides. Okay, so coming slides. So what are the side effects of the anti-TB drugs? So you have to know about the side effects. So isoniazid, patient can have a peripheral neuropathy and the hepatitis. So for the peripheral neuropathy, you have to give the prophylaxis for the vitamin B6 in the form of pyridoxine. Okay, so to prevention of peripheral neuropathy for the oral regimen, isoniazid and rifampicin, the patient can have a gastrointestinal anorexia, nausea, vomiting is very common, and the hepatitis is more common. And then the reduced effectiveness if the patient is taking out the oral contraceptive pills. Okay, and these are the acute renal failure, shock, and in this case you have to modify the dose. And then the pyrazinamide, the most common is the joint pain, so patient can present with a hyperuricemia like gout-like symptoms. Okay, so and the hepatitis is the most prominent with all these three. The most of the hepatotoxic is pyrazinamide. So that's why you have to monitor the LFT in the patient. Okay, so before starting the antitubercular drugs, and then we have to advise if the patient has abdominal pain, vomiting, nausea, and all these things, which is the sign of the hepatitis, to consult the doctor immediately. Okay, and then the another is the ethambutol. So ethambutol mainly causes optic neuritis, and then the streptomycin mainly is having a auditory, and then the nephrotoxic is the streptomycin. Is mainly these are the things that you should know. So then coming to the recommendation for the special condition like pregnancy, a pregnant woman should be advised that successful treatment of TB with a standard regimen is important for the successful outcome of the pregnancy. So first line anti-TB drugs are safe for the use in the pregnancy, so that you can continue in the pregnancy. The another is in the regarding the breastfeeding, the mother should give a normal full course of TB treatment. Timely and properly applied chemotherapy is the best way to prevent the transmission. of the tubercle bacilli to the baby. So mother and baby should stay together, and the baby should continue a breastfeed, use masks while breastfeeding, and practice other infection measures. After active TB in the baby is ruled out, the baby should be given 3 months prophylaxis for rifampicin and isoniazid preventive therapy, followed by the BCG vaccination, post-exposure prophylaxis. Okay, and the pyridoxine 10 milligram daily. Supplementation is recommended for all the pregnant or breastfeeding women taking isoniazid throughout the TB treatment. If the patient has a TB and HIV, same regimen as the non-HIV patient for the same duration is used in case of TB and HIV co-infection. Then the oral contraceptive pills, since the rifampicin reduces the effectiveness of OCPs, women should be advised to choose between one or two options of the contraception following consultation with the clinician. The patients may use an oral contraceptive pill containing a higher dose of estrogen. Alternatively, some non-hormonal methods of contraception may be used throughout the rifampicin treatment and for at least 1 month subsequently. Okay, and then the another is a liver disorder. So mainly, so it's hepatotoxic. So patient with a hepatitis virus carries a patient a past history of acute hepatitis and current excessive alcohol consumption, provided that there is no clinical evidence of the chronic liver disease, can receive the usual regimen, but should be closely monitored for that. Okay, and in case of renal failure and severe renal insufficiency, the recommended initial TB regimen for the patient with renal failure or severe renal insufficiency is same as the normal TB treatment. Okay, so this is the ideal recommendation for the special conditions. So ATT induced hepatitis is the one. So the another is the drug resistant TB. Okay, so drug resistant TB, already I have told, is a multi drug resistant TB is defined as a resistance to the at least rifampicin and isoniazid with or without other drug resistance, and extensively resistant TB is defined as a resistance to at least rifampicin and isoniazid with the quinolones, and one should be a injectable second line drugs. So this is the XTR-TB. So what is the NTB guidelines for the MDR-TB? So in this situation, after a failure of WHO standard retreatment regimen, a third line regimen should be prescribed containing at least 3 never used drugs like kanamycin, ethonamide, ofloxacin, and pyrazinamide. After bacteriological conversion, usually after 3 to 4 months, if the initial susceptibility test results cannot be obtained, the continuation phase during the 18 months should be employed the 2 drugs best tolerated. Okay, on that. So this is the how you are going to treat. So for the duration of the continuation phase is very high, is 18 months, along with the which is total 24 months. So what is the treatment of drug resistant TB? So the drugs for the DRTB is, so they have divided into A, B, C. Okay, so in A, so include all 3 medicines in the regimen if no contraindication, like levofloxacin or moxifloxacin, bedaquiline. So bedaquiline is another one, and linezolid. Okay, so linezolid. And then the B is the add one or both medicine, that is clofazimine, cycloserine, or terizidone. Okay, so terizidone, and add to complete the regimen. And when medicines from group A and group B cannot be used, okay, so you can add either ethambutol, or if other drug cannot be used, you can use delaminate, pyrazinamide, all these things, imipenem, celestine, or imigacin. Okay, so and choosing, so 3 drugs should be there, include all the 3 medication. If no contraindication, then add one, and then add one from this group. Okay, so to complete the regimen for the treatment of rifampicin resistant TB and MDR-TB. So these are the drug doses. So moxifloxacin, levofloxacin, amikacin is injectable, and ethonamide, clofazimine, cycloserine, pyrazinamide, ethambutol, PAS, okay, linezolid. So linezolid you can use the oral, clavulanic acid, amoxicillin you can give the oral. Okay, so imipenem, celestine is injectable, while as the meropenem is the injectable. Okay, so these are the drugs doses that you can use in the treatment of. So what is the key points for rifampicin MDR treatment? In Nepal, 2 types of treatment regimens are used for the management of rifampicin resistance MDR TB. Both are largely standardized. So standardized shorter treatment regimen, that is known as SSTR, of 9 to 12 months duration, prescribed for uncomplicated rifampicin resistant MDR-TB provided that eligibility criteria. Okay, so all oral longer treatment regimen, that is LTR, for 18 to 20 months duration for those not eligible for SSTR. There are mainly two standardized LR treatment. Okay, so LR treatment regimens recommended for LR1 and LR2 for the most of the RR MDR-TB patients for special condition in rare cases, and there are also provision for the other treatment regimens such as LR3 and LR4. Okay, so these are the long regimen treatment. So those so first of all, if the MDR-TB is there, so we are going to ask this question: is any of the following is present? Preference by the clinician and the patient for the longer MDR-TB regimen is the one that the clinician will choose. The confirmed resistance or suspected ineffectiveness to the medicine in the shorter MDR-TB regimen, except isoniazid exposure to one or more second-line medicines in the shorter MDR-TB regimen for more than 1 month, intolerance to the medicines in the shorter MDR-TB regimen, or risk of toxicity. Pregnancy, you are going to use the longer treatment. Disseminated meningeal or central nervous system, is this a contraindication for SSTR. Any extrapulmonary disease in the people living with AIDS, you have to go for the longer MDR-TB. Okay, one or more medicines in the shorter MDR-TB regimen not available, then you can go for the standard longer MDR-TB. Okay, so these are the how you are going to channelize which to use: standardized shorter MDR-TB regimen or longer MDR-TB regimen. So regimen for DRTB, so LR1 means in that the standard longer RR MDR-TB regimens for the adults and children 6 years above, you are going to use the 6 months of bedaquiline, 18 months of levofloxacin, and then clofazimine, and then the pyrazinamide. Okay, so these are the and the linezolid. So these are the regimen for the standard longer treatment that is known as a LR1. In case of toxicity, you have to need to decrease subsequent linezolid, okay, with cycloserine for on that case. And if linezolid is well tolerated, should be continued throughout the treatment duration. Okay, so this is how you are going to use. So LR2, so this is the rifampicin resistant TB with a risk of fluoroquine resistance is there, then you can use the omit the this, and you can use the cycloserine. Okay, so CS is a cycloserine in the form of in the place of levofloxacin. LR3, failed by MDR-TB standard treatment. LR1, relapse or recurrence of MDR-TB, then you are going to use the 6 months of amidine and delamanide. These all are the regimens that you are going to use. The PAS, moxifloxacin, levofloxacin for the 12 months, and then for the 6 months, and then the 12 months of the delamanide of 6 months, ethonamide, PAS, and clofazimine, moxifloxacin, and levofloxacin. So this is the LR3. And LR4, so LR4 is the secondary XDR. Okay, secondary XDR. In that, so LR4 one for for 18 months, and then LR42 for 18 months. So this is the regimens that you are going to use. Okay, so these 18 months of delamanide of 12, this cycloserine, impenem, and clavulanic acid for 10 months, and then ethanolamide, PAS, and clofazimine, and this pyrazinamide. So these are the LR1, LR2, and LR4. So what is the nutshell of this? Is the shorter standardized treatment in which the intensive phase is 4 + 1 or 2 months. Okay, so 2 months that you are going to use, depending upon the analysis of the sputum. Then the amikacin, you can use ethanamide, isoniazid high dose, moxifloxacin, clofazimine, pyrazinamide, and ethambutol. Okay, so there's a 4 to 6 months of this, and then the continuation phase is the fixed continuation phase of moxifloxacin, clofazimine, ethambutol, and pyrazinamide. This is the fixed for the shorter duration of treatment. So this the schematic overview of the drug introduction, duration of admission in STR. time socking RSI, we can rejoin it. So rejoin. So this is not necessary. So schematic review of drug introduction and duration of administration in short-term course is: day one, you are going to use the amikacin, moxifloxacin, clofazimine, ethambutol, isoniazid, and pyrazine in a single daily dose. And then you address the adverse event. If there is an adverse event is not there, then add ethonamide 250. And day 5, increase the ethanolamide dose, and then day 8, increase the ethanolamide dose to 750 if indicated. And sputum smear results at 4 months is negative, then you can go for the continuation phase. If it is positive, extend intensive phase by 1 month. And sputum smear result at 5 months, that you are again going to do. If it is positive, then again extend the intensive phase by 1 month. And sputum smear result at 6 months is still positive, consider as a treatment failure and switch to the long course regimen. Okay, so that's how you are going to do. And then if it is negative, then you can go for the continuation phase straight away. So this is how you are going to do the short course treatment. So this is the same thing. Okay, so the sputum results you are going to do in the 4 months, 5 months, and 6 months. Okay, so this is the for the short treatment course.